Welcome back. Part one of the three-part series, which is kind of confusing because technically last week was part one, and then I said a three-part series, but I appreciate you sticking with me on this. So let's say you're thinking about buying a car, and it seems like nobody owns this kind of car until you get serious about thinking about buying that car, and then all of a sudden at every street corner, there's that car again. So when you start thinking about buying a house, suddenly you're listening to all kinds of conversations that you really didn't pay much attention to before. You're in the coffee shop and you're hearing someone talking about they're gonna raise interest rates next week. Well, who's they and what interest rates are they talking about? Typically what they're going to be referring to, the Fed funds rate. So the Federal Reserve sets the interest rate that banks can charge each other to borrow money overnight. That is not the interest rate that you would pay on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. The 30-year fixed rate mortgage, for example, is set on the open market. It's important to understand the differences between those so that it's not a matter of a feeding frenzy once someone hears, oh my gosh, they're going to raise the interest rates, I need to hurry up and buy a home. That's not the case. It's the open market that determines the 30-year fixed rate. So the more you understand about this process, the more powerful you are over the last 80 years. So it's the blue line that moves from left to right. You'll notice that that Fed funds rate increases until it gets to a large gray line, and that represents a recessionary time. At that point, the Fed funds rate decreases significantly. And that is because the Federal Reserve, the they that we talked about, that you heard about in the coffee shop, they are going to be reducing the Fed funds rate to spur spending, to push for an economic recovery. So keep that in mind when you hear they are raising the rates. Now you know who the they is and how it impacts you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk more next week on part two.